Hello, my friends, and welcome to the Corona Aster Alchemy community. So good to have you. And for those of you that haven't been on my channel for a while, you might be a little confused about my astrology because I have switched from being a Western astrologer to a Vedic, also known as sidereal astrologer. So, yeah, I'm going to be looking at things a little bit differently, including this new moon in Sagittarius. I know everybody's talking about the new moon in Capricorn in the Western system. So I will also be talking about Chinese astrology in this video today as well. So I am really excited to see what resonates with you, what you are also noticing and feeling in terms of the energies and what I'm sharing. So as always, please subscribe, please like this, and please comment. Let me know how you're getting along with this information. And also please share it with a friend. So again, thank you for being here. And this is a new moon in Sagittarius that is happening tomorrow as the time of my recording. This is the 29th. And boy, I have a lot of aspects to talk about today. It's a pretty busy it's a busy in the sky kind of time. So yeah, first of all, the new moon is also for this month. It is our second new moon of the month, and so this is called a blue moon or a black moon. And really, what this actually signifies is a big coming of a change in the world at large. And so, not just for us individually, but also more, maybe at our country level or collectively as humans. So, I think it's very exciting. It actually makes me excited to celebrate the new year, which is not something I typically do. I tend to, as those of you who have been following me for a while know, that I tend to celebrate the Chinese New Year, which is around the 5th of February every year, as well as the spring equinox is another celebration time for me. This is definitely a time when there's usually planets that are retrograde, and that's one of the biggest reasons that I don't typically feel that it's as good of a time to, really go forward with goals. I think it still can be a good seed planting time. And so, yeah, with this new moon being in Sagittarius, this is a new moon that is all about our beliefs and the ability to transform our beliefs. So, as somebody who's been working in the healing community for many years, working with people as a Chinese medical practitioner, I do acupressure and body work for those local. I do empowerment coaching. So, from a Chinese medicine standpoint, we are always looking at transforming people's emotions. And so a lot of this also ties in with our beliefs. And so this is a great time if you are in a healing crisis or you've been in one. This is a really great time to look at your beliefs and how to change that, because this blue moon, this black moon is really going to give you the power to make a big transformation going forward if you set that intention. And we have also, else do I want to say here? Let's see. Um, yeah, so basically we may have this may be a time when we want to share more philosophies. We may even feel like we're being more of a teacher to some, even if you are only being a teacher to your children or to a family member or friend. That is something that you may be more inclined to just share whatever information, or whether that's scholarly information or just philosophies. Those are going to be things that we're going to be thinking about at this time. And we're going to be feeling, I think, overall on this new moon. And hopefully today you should be feeling it too, because again, as I'm recording this on the 29th, the moon is in Sagittarius. And so it is bringing in that jovialness. The Jupiter is the planet that rules Sagittarius. And so it brings an expansiveness. It really helps us to get excited about life and and just look at that higher purpose of why we're all here. Um, and so we also have a Mercury in Scorpio, and it's been this way for a little while now. And this is also in opposition to Jupiter in Taurus. And so this opposition is creating some tension for us all, and it can be coming in like an overindulgence in trying to get to the bottom of things. Because with Mercury in Scorpio, we really are wanting to find the truth. We're really wanting to dig deep. We're really wanting to, again, find out. yeah, about these beliefs of ours and or in the world and what is really going on. And so it can look like a lot of rumination, unfortunately, and for some of us it can be pretty yeah, debilitating, really. So we also yesterday started to feel some of this aspect with Chiron and Scorpio as well. So, or excuse me, with Scorpio, not Scorpio, Chiron and Mercury. So we have for this new moon, we are having a trine with Chiron and Mercury. However, this Chiron, it just went stationing, well, as of today, the 29th. So I noticed yesterday the moon was in Scorpio. It is now in Sagittarius, as I mentioned, but with the moon in Scorpio, again, that's about our feelings. It is about the collective energies. And so right now we are, again, just feeling a lot of this old woundings and wanting to get to the bottom of like why things are. And we may be wanting to, yeah, figure things out around something that was a frustrating situation in our lives or in others. It could be even something from the distant past, because this can be related to trauma as we're dealing with Chiron. Because as Chiron is stationing forward, it is intensified, and so these old wounds are coming up to the surface and being triggered. And so, Sunday is the day that I'm filming this on the 29th, and the 28th I was very highly triggered that Saturday. So I've been talking to a few people and hearing the same thing, that there was just, yeah, just really wanting to get to the bottom of things. And there's also, like I said, though, there is now at the new moon, there's this trine with Chiron and Mercury. So it's going to help us to think about it and think about this trauma and these triggers and this healing and this need in a more healthy way. And so we may be thinking about it, but hopefully we're not going to overthink it. And we're going to maybe dive into the more mercurial realms of, just going to that talk therapist and or a coach, or talking to a friend even, and or writing about whatever it is that's bothering us. And so really kind of getting to the bottom of things through those different acts. And so I would definitely recommend that if that is something that you have been struggling with. And Mercury just stationed back on the 15th of the month, and it is now, as of the new moon day, so tomorrow it will be out of shadow, or by the end of the day it will be. So that is really good news. We've been in the shadow period for a couple weeks, so we've still been having some glitchy technology and communication. So if you have been struggling in this realm, also, again, just knowing that we're kind of coming out of that. If somebody didn't respond to you or get back to you, you can kind of check in and be like, hey, I hope everything's okay, and reach back out and make sure that there wasn't any miscommunication, or maybe somebody missed a message or that sort of thing. So something good to think about as far as that goes. We also, when the when Mercury was starting its retrograde period, it was at 29 degrees of Scorpio. And this is called the Gandanta phase. And so this has to do with the tail of the scorpion, which is, again, the area that holds the poison. This is about stinging. And so it can really bring up, something about, it can be revealing of things in the past. And so now that we're kind of getting out of this phase, there was probably some misinformation spread on the media. Mercury rules the media, and so because things were in retrograde, then it can be kind of clouded. We also have this Neptune aspect that I'll talk about in a few minutes, but basically with that aspect, it's making it so that now we're going to have a little bit more things coming to the surface. More things will be revealed, not only in our personal lives, but maybe as a collective. Again, like what's been going on with the drones, for instance. That's probably the biggest one, right? Or whatever they are, if they're drones, aliens, whatever we think they are. And let's see. So it is a good time to still continue to do some reflections, because even though we are out of the Mercury retrograde for the most part, Mars is still retrograde, Uranus is still retrograde, and yeah, Mars, Jupiter, and Uranus are all still retrograde. And Mars really helps give us that action in the world. And so we may be having a little bit of difficulty with feeling like we're ready to move forward as much as we would like. That will be shifting, I believe, on January 21st. Very close to that, if I am not correct. So just know that we have a couple more weeks until we'll have a little bit more energy to go forward with action. Doesn't mean that you can't go ahead and do that New Year's resolution and start on, your new workout or whatever, but if you're having a little bit less desire or oomph in the realm of action, that may be part of the reason. Also, Mars is in Cancer. It's been there for a while. I talked about it in my last video or two. And so we've been dealing with some of the more reactionary emotional nature of Mars and Cancer. So that is something that we continue to need to be very careful about, just really trying to work on that. I know it's something that is a work in progress in my life as well as most people's. So, getting into conscious communication, reading nonviolent communication guidelines is one of my favorite things to do to assist me and to keep going back to. I also teach classes on that, so I'm sure you'll be hearing about something pretty soon here. It's time for me to teach that again. And yeah, what else? I also like to think of this time when Cancer is retrograde as the time when like the crowd is walking sideways because the crowd can, sometimes have that desire to do the little sideways walk, and it's kind of also can be metaphorical of that passive aggressiveness that that Cancerian nature can have at times. If it's feeling really cautious and scared, and having a hard time being forthcoming. And so, what I really want to share about that though is that sideways, walk is more about like we don't really know what is kind of happening to us and with us. And I mean that in terms of like why we're feeling so emotional or why we're dealing with some of the different frustrations and problems that we may be having. I believe this is a lot due to psychic attack and or entities attaching to us. I don't really like to use the word attack that much, but uh, I believe that we are spiritual people and we are in a spiritual battle. Here on the earth plane in the 3D world, we are living in these bodies and there are things around us that are unseen. And I think part of what we've been going through collectively during this time with Mars being in Cancer is actually learning our spiritual tools even more because that is, I think, really what it's teaching us. Because as we are being presented with more and more issues of, okay, I don't even know why all of a sudden I started feeling this way. And and pretty soon we start developing more of these intuitive and these psychic abilities. And we're starting to recognize like, hey, yeah, I need to make sure that I'm shielding myself every day. And maybe not only shielding myself every morning when I get up, but then shielding myself again throughout the day, especially if I start going into a negative storyline. So that is something that yeah, I've been seeing and hearing a lot about, been dealing with myself, of course. The one nice thing about Mars being retrograde in Cancer is, with Mars ruling war and anger, although again, it can kind of be a little bit more reactionary in Cancer and it doesn't really like to be in Cancer. At the same time, because it's debilitated, there's less chance of us being at war collectively. So, um, at least we kind of have that going for the next couple weeks. And I think that we still need to do some collective prayers around this because there are some other aspects that are pretty harsh, of course, as there are always positive aspects. So, I think that collectively, yeah, lots of good things are going on in the world. And as much as we would like to believe that we're very close to living in an enlightened time on the earth plane, unfortunately, I feel that astrology has taught me that just like good old Capricorn and Saturn, being the ruler of Capricorn is just the father of time. That time is really slow, and that the good work takes a long, long time. It's the good hard work, and it's a little bit further out than we would all wish it to be, and it's frustrating. I I can really relate to all of us being super frustrated on that. So I really wish that the age of Aquarius was here in the way of like, oh, we're all just going to come to some peaceful place, but that's not why we're here, and that's not what this is yet. I think hopefully we'll eventually get there, but in the meantime, yeah, that's my little tangent on that. But Anyway, I want to move on to Venus. So Venus is an Aquarius, and Aquarius can be a little bit of a challenging aspect for Venus because it can feel like this is going to have to do with our relationships. So we can also feel like people are being kind of aloof or uncaring, a little bit cold or distant. So just know that if you are struggling a little bit in relationship wise, that this is just part of that energy pattern, that it's not, really a bad thing. It's just that it may not feel as warm and cozy as, of course, like Venus in Taurus or Venus in Libra or something. So we are struggling a little bit in that area. Also, like in terms of like beauty, whether it's like us making ourselves look beautiful with, whatever it is that we want to adorn ourselves with, or in terms of our homes, we also may not be feeling like things are quite matching up and driving as easily. It's not to say that you can't still find some really beautiful things to adorn you during this time. So you can still do your shopping, but I would always just look more at the moon placement during this time to assist you with that. But what else? So let's see. Yeah, I think I said most of what I wanted to say about the Mars retrograde. And uh well, no. So well, as far as yeah, just Mars retrograde, yeah, I'm good with that. But however, we have another aspect. So Mars in Cancer is also having an opposition to Pluto in Capricorn. So this is really a um, very difficult also aspect in the chart that we are going to be having on the new moon. So just know that this is going to feel like, we're really working to transform things to do with like our boundaries or to do with, the hard work of keeping ourselves as like an individual, to be this autonomous person, but then yet also be this family member, this community member. And so there could be a little bit of a struggle there that we could be feeling. We could also see this as a way for us to notice some familial patterns. So again, with that Chiron aspect too, that's also going to be, showing and triggering and bringing in some of the stuff where we can go, okay, we have some familial patterns, and this could also be more about like maybe we are trying to do this work really quickly with Mars being in Cancer. Like we want to heal our families and we want to heal our communities and we want to, heal ourselves. Cancer is all about healing and it wants to do that. And Mars wants to act quickly. But again, Mars is debilitated in Cancer, so it can't move quickly. Also, right now, the Mars is lorded, it's ruled by the moon. And so the Cancerian energy, the moon energy, is ruling everything. And so again, we just really have to look to that moon energy of like what the moon is doing each day to know. So again, this moon is Sagittarius. We can look at this beautiful optimism to help us with at this time. And just know that, yeah, again, if your day was really hard, like on Saturday, the moon was in Scorpio. So again, it was just wanting to get to the bottom of everything along with the other Scorpio transits and aspects we were having. So Capricorn, with Pluto being in Capricorn, it's also about, that self-discipline. And so we could be struggling with the ways of like the habits of time and the ways in which we may have even been taught to be at war within ourselves. And so again, that just could be with looking at those familial patterns of like how we're wanting to heal and that desire to do it on this like different timeline that may be not realistic. Um, and again, there's nothing wrong with wanting to be done with healing. I mean, I remember when I was leaving my last relationship that it was like almost a year long of agony, and I was just getting so mad and frustrated because I just felt like at some point, like maybe I should be over it, and I was still so angry, and I felt like I needed to keep feeling that anger, and I felt like there's a lot of things in the world that keep trying to say like, okay, well, there's just a point when you need to just kind of get over these things, and it's like, you know what? Grief is different for everybody, and relationships and their time length, and healing from those, like it's different for everybody. It's not like there isn't really this perfect equation of like, I was in a relationship for a year, and so therefore it's 3 months of healing. I mean, sometimes it's like, it just, there isn't this magic formula. We hear about those magic formulas, and they really don't exist because it's just different for everybody. And I was even irritated with the conscious uncoupling book that I read around that time too, because I just kind of felt like she was still kind of, and this is my impression. This doesn't mean that it was truth, but just the way that I felt was I just felt like she was kind of placating me and then being like, okay, now move on. And I'm like, I'm not. I'm still, needing to process my anger, and I'm not ready to be like, oh, here's my old ex, it's my best friend, and good for you if like you can be that kind and compassionate already. But it's not all of us. Like, I don't know. Personally, I have the need to like feel that righteous anger for a while, and I want to and I need to. So I hope that you can honor yourself and do the same thing if that is you. But yeah, I mean, again, this doesn't have to necessarily be directed at somebody else. This could be more like that, anger at ourselves, within ourselves, right? Around this healing of something from the past. So yeah, we could just be struggling again with like, okay, there's, I'm really trying to, embrace the self-discipline, and yet, yeah, there's just this reactive emotions that, we may be dealing with, or this desire to kind of be a little bit more emotional and reactive than maybe we even normally are, and, or, even if you are an emotional person, I mean, I'm a pretty emotional person, and, yeah, it's just definitely, a time when I think in general people are fighting a little bit more. Unfortunately, I've been hearing of other, you know, people that are struggling with that. I know I am, but personally, in but that is not everybody. I definitely hope it's not everybody, but just know that if you are going through this, this is part of the energy and it's helping us to grow. Like all of these are helping us to grow. So, and yeah, and then this is also looking at those big structures, because Pluto in Capricorn is about dismantling the bigger structures in life and the bigger systems, and they are dismantling and they are falling apart, and we are collectively working to transform things. And I know, yeah, it's just going to take some time. So there is also a square from Saturn in Aquarius to Jupiter in Taurus. And so this is another aspect of friction. And I'm going to get to some other good stuff here in a minute. We'll just get this out of the way. But so on the one hand, we may be feeling this desire for expansiveness related to like material comforts and our sensuality, and just, so that could be like food and home stuff and all those wonderful things, right? That we think of with Taurus, um, and so we're really wanting that, but then we also may be having this conflict at the same time. There's kind of this friction around like also this restriction around us having to, maybe it's serving our community, or maybe it's um, having to, yeah, just kind of be in this 3D existence, and we have to, we want to be the revolution and bring the revolution, and yet have to be, you know, in this body in this time, and like again having the patience to go through all of this. We could be also, feeling this restriction around being our own unique self, and following that inner genius or that inner scientist that is just super curious and that is ready to change things and ready to, again, make something really big happen. And it's not quite the time yet. Jupiter's still retrograde, so Mars is still retrograde. So we just can still formulate, and we can still plan, and we can plant those seeds for New Year's, and we just need to be a little bit patient. So and then also Neptune is in Pisces. It's stationed forward December 7th. So it's been a little while, but because it's an outer planet, it really takes a while for that planet to start moving forward. And so we're actually just finally starting to feel that, which is really exciting, because Neptune is about the unseen. It is about our spirituality. So that is continuing to grow as we're moving forward. There is this expansion around our spiritual gifts and our knowing that, we are in tune with our intuition and our psychic abilities, and we're trusting in that more, and we're feeling that more. And again, being really aware of like, yeah, I'm noticing that I'm feeling dark energy in the room and I need to go sage, or whatever that may be. And just faith in the unseen, faith in those archangels, if that's who you call upon, or, the descended masters, Buddha, or Jesus, or Mary, whoever it is that you call upon for help. Just having that faith, again, that's something that hopefully is growing within you and that will continue to grow. It's also Neptune is also the planet that rules deceit and deception, and so there was a lot of, I think, things that were being very veiled from us collectively. And again, I think this is having to do more with like what was in the media. Again, there was the not only the Neptune retrograde, but the Mercury retrograde during the same time. There was a lot of illusion. There's a lot of confusion around whatever had happened. So, but also. So yeah, we can look back to that period of time, as I mentioned before, Mercury went retrograde, or maybe a couple weeks before that. But so Neptune actually went retrograde back on July 2nd of this year. So if you want to look back to the very beginning of July, end of June, in there, and just see what was shifting in your life around that, because that was also a really big turning point in our lives where it was like Neptune was also at the 29-degree Gandanta point. And so again, this scorpion stinger, this poison, um, there's something that is being revealed and that is going to continue to be revealed as we go forward with this Mercury coming out of shadow, this Neptune being out of shadow, that is going to help us see that there was something that we've been collectively being lied to about, most likely. So it'll be really interesting to see. And then again, it could also be something personal. And I definitely had something very personal that I found out about, and it literally happened like around July 2nd. I mean, it was like a couple days later. So it's kind of crazy. But also, yeah, I found out about it middle of November or somewhere in there. Anyway, so yeah, things will just keep coming to the surface and we all will be revealed when it's supposed to, and it will make perfect sense with your transits and the astrology as it always does. So now I'd like to switch to the Chinese astrology. So just trying to make sure I didn't forget anything that I wanted to really pinpoint for the sidereal Vedic system. So yeah, we have another week of being in the rat month. The rat month will continue until January 5th. And so, and we're in that wood dragon year, the young wood dragon year, and it's a young fire rat month. And I didn't get to do as many videos this month, but I did have a full moon circle. So for those of you that were there, you might have known a little bit what I was talking about, but I will kind of catch people up a little bit. So the yang wood and yang fire, that's it's a very generating cycle, we call it, and so it's really a feeding sequence or cycle, and this is really a good combination of energy. In other words, what we see when we bring together the young wood and the young fire is we see a lot of radiating warmth. We see a lot of having this desire to grow and improve. And so we can really see that coming into our lives. And then with the rat and the dragon, these are some really good aspects. I mean, they're two animals that get along quite well. Now, the excuse me, the rat is very social and it really likes to work in a team. And the dragon is kind of the opposite. So it really likes to work independently. And so there is a tiny bit of friction around that where we may have a little bit of this desire to try to do things on our own too much. And that's not going to serve us. So definitely be aware of that for yourself. Because that is one of the downfalls of the dragon is that it really does need to reach out for help. And I talk about that to all my dragon friends all the time. I'm like, you have to ask for help more because you're very ambitious and you are very passionate and you can do a lot. You're very energetic and that's awesome, but you can't do it alone. And so, um, yeah, so really we have to make sure that we're leaning into teamwork and at least having some one other person help us, right? And also that young fire energy is also kind of like dragon energy. It really wants to be and likes to be self-sufficient. So we really, again, are going to have to work on that tendency. We may have already noticed that. So let's just try to finish this last week out strong with that. And that was going to help us as we are working, with others to bring in the energies that we wish for this coming year. Because as we move from November and December and January, we're moving in those energies more of the new coming year. And this coming year will be a Yenwood snake year. And I'll be talking more about that. There are a few more things I want to say about rat and dragon energy. So yeah, also the dragon is really good at seeing the big picture, and it's got the higher vision. It's it's the whole only mythical creature. It's the only flying creature, right? And so it can see from above and be like, okay, I've got this wonderful vantage point. And then the rat is always very meticulous and detail oriented, and it can see the smaller little things. And so it's really cool that we've got the big picture and the little detail oriented creature coming together. And so I think this is going to be really beautiful, to help us solve problems and to help us to grow. And so just continue to lean into those energies. I also want to mention that for anybody that has any monkey in their chart, that this is a really great month, and really utilize this last week because the rat, dragon, and monkey create water, and water is about wisdom. It's about, it loves even knowledge, but it's also about really bringing in that intuition, using the emotions in a really positive way. And it really, does desire a lot of freedom as well. So just know that if you have been feeling a little bit of that, then that's some of that energy too. But um, yeah, and maybe just even a little bit, again, more emotional, and that can be always a little challenging for some of us. But and then the day of the new moon with it's taking place on a very powerful initiate day. And it's a 3-star day in the Chinese astrology system, according to my Chinese astrology teacher. And so this is the highest rating that you can get. Initiate days are, as they sound like, a great day to initiate something new. So this is a very powerful day to go forward and create a very ambitious goal. And it can be, again, just a seedling of something that you are going to be starting more in February or March or even June. I mean, there are some good energies as we get into like February or so, but even some of the tougher energies aren't even going to switch out until about June, to be honest. But there's always really good energies, and so you have to really feel into what works and what resonates for you, because you have specific transits that are going to lead you energetically in the direction that you need to at the right time anyway. But yeah, basically, also, not only is this a great day to initiate something new, but it is going to be a great day for you to tap into wisdom and intuition, optimism, really being brave about something. So, again, really looking at those goals around your beliefs and seeing how you can shift something that is really not serving you. And I just want to mention that I do ancestral energy clearings, and I feel like, again, with those familial patterns that are coming up, and with this energy with the Mars retrograde, with the Chiron going from retrograde forward, those are some really tough energies that are also allowing us to really let go of some of these old beliefs. And so this is just another tool that I have found on my journey that has helped me to let go of some old patterns and familial patterns that are stuck in my body. And so this could be something that could be really powerful for you. So yeah, but it's a yin earth snake day on the new moon day. So the yin earth is this beautiful archetypal mothering or fathering energy. And so it's just so kind and it's so nurturing. And so really lean into how to be more kind and nurturing to yourself, um, and to find those resources to lead you into greater intuition, greater wisdom, so that you can gain that stability and trust that it's yin earth always, really brings in that stability and that trust and that ability to bring in the changes that are going to withstand the test of time. So I really hope that this message has helped you. I would love to hear your thoughts on this energy, especially since I used to do Western astrology, and I'm curious for those of you that are choosing to still listen, what you have noticed, because I noticed that I still listen to my Western astrology teachers, and I still think that what they say resonates for me. And I think that my Vedic astrologer teachers, like what they say resonates for me too. So I don't think that there's like one right or wrong. I just find it fascinating that they're all right, in my opinion. And it's super fun to just see how the energies lead us. And I just want to thank you for your time. Again, hit the subscribe button. Be sure to like it. I always hear that you like the video, but then I don't get likes. So please like the video. Please leave a comment just really quickly. Tell me what you liked and have a wonderful day. I hope to see you again very soon. All right, take good care.